Once upon a time, in a bustling town filled with cobblestone streets and noisy marketplaces, lived a scruffy stray dog named Barnaby. Barnaby was a clever dog, but he suffered from one terrible flaw. He was incredibly greedy. No matter how much food he managed to scavenge, it was never quite enough. If he had a scrap of bread, he wanted a whole loaf. If he found a discarded sausage, he dreamt of an entire ham. His eyes were always bigger than his stomach, and he spent his days enviously eyeing the meals of every other animal in the neighborhood. One crisp morning, Barnaby's luck took a miraculous turn. As he was prowling near the local butcher shop, the butcher was distracted by a loud argument between two customers out front.
I told you, this meat is the finest in the land!
Finest! It smells rotten!
We demand a refund immediately!
Seizing the opportunity, Barnaby slipped behind the counter and clamped his jaws around the most magnificent bone he had ever seen. It was a massive, meaty prize, practically dripping with flavor, meant for a wealthy merchant's soup pot. Heart pounding with a mix of fear and sheer delight, Barnaby darted out the back door and sprinted away as fast as his legs could carry him. He didn't slow his pace until the shouts of the angry butcher completely faded into the distance.
Stop him! He stole my prize bone! Get back here, you scruffy mutt!
Panting but victorious, Barnaby realized he couldn't eat his prize in the crowded town alleys. Other dogs would surely smell the fresh meat, and he had no intention of sharing even a single splinter of his treasure. He decided to head towards the quiet, leafy woods on the outskirts of the town, where he could gnaw on his bone in absolute peace. The journey took him through tall meadows and down a winding dirt path. The heavy bone weighed down his jaw, but he hardly minded the effort. Eventually, the path led him to a narrow wooden footbridge spanning a deep, tranquil stream. The water below was as smooth as glass, perfectly reflecting the blue sky and the green canopy of the trees above. As Barnaby trotted across the center of the bridge, he happened to glance over the edge. He immediately froze. There, staring back at him from the crystal-clear water, was another dog. Barnaby narrowed his eyes, his hackles rising defensively. This rival dog was clutching a bone in its mouth too, but to Barnaby's greedy eyes, the water magnified the reflection, making the other dog's bone look significantly larger, meatier, and far more delicious than his own. Barnaby felt a hot surge of jealousy. Why should that dog have a better bone than me, he thought indignantly. I am the one who braved the butcher shop. I deserve the biggest bone. He let out a low, menacing growl. To his surprise, the dog in the water growled right back. Barnaby took a step closer to the edge, baring his sharp teeth. The aqueous dog matched his fierce expression perfectly. Unable to control his greed any longer, Barnaby decided he must have that second bone. He lunged forward, opening his jaws wide to unleash a terrifying bark and snatch the prize from the other dog's mouth. Woof! Splash! The moment he opened his mouth, his own heavy, beautiful bone tumbled out. It hit the surface of the water, shattering the reflection into 1,000 rippling fragments, and sank rapidly to the muddy bottom of the deep stream, lost forever. Barnaby stood on the bridge, staring down at the empty water in utter shock. As the ripples finally faded, the other dog reappeared, but now, like Barnaby, its mouth was entirely empty. He realized too late that he had been growling at his own reflection. His insatiable greed had blinded him, and in grasping for a watery illusion, he had lost the very real treasure he already possessed. Barnaby walked away from the bridge with his tail tucked firmly between his legs, his stomach rumbling a harsh reminder of his foolishness.